welcome to the Life at Next podcast, Andrew.
Thank you, Matt. Great to be here.
Yeah, I know you've done one before.
I have. Yes.
Yeah, we're just talking about that, weren't we? Yeah.
Not part of the MKU or Matt King universe, as I like to call it. But maybe I'll be brought in as a sideline when you put it on Disney Plus.
You're more original.
I am OG. OG.
Which is really important actually, because it helped also the business kind of see is this format.
The value in it.
Yeah. And it massively was.
No, and I mean, I'm a big fan. Love the podcast. Yeah. It's great to listen to on the way to work and stuff. So, I like it. Yeah.
Now you have to listen to yourself.
And now I've got to listen to myself, yeah. Perhaps I might
Which no one enjoys.
Give this
no one enjoys. So we're here, talking about this now during Pride Month.
We are,
which is obviously massive thing for Pride at Next, which you are chair of, yeah?
Super, yes. As part of my, as well as my role as head of retail HR, I'm also the chair of the Pride at Next, which I've done right from the very beginning, 5 years ago.
5 years?
5 years. Yes, it's our 5th birthday.
That does deserve a wow,
Thank
because
you.
that is a good length of time, considering. I remember when it started as well. It was, and to think now you've done this for 5 years.
I can still vividly remember that very first conceptual. How are we going to do this? What are we going to call each other?
Yeah. And I always remember as well. I don't know why, and I think it might even be in the latest edition of the newsletter. But I always remember that image like that of you and the other the committee.
The committee, yes,
in the room.
It is absolutely in there.
Yeah, because. That literally, it's like one of those pictures, where you see like Apple, and they're like started
founding
in a garage.
members,
founding members. Like it's got that vibe to it.
And a lot of those people that are in that picture are still. In fact, I think all of the people that are in that picture are still very much part of the part of the committee. So we've had a lot of people come and go in that in between time, but yes, they are.
Yeah. And is it something that you've throughout the whole 5 years you've enjoyed? Yeah.
Oh, massively, Matt. Yeah. I mean, from the point that I was asked to do this, I think it was one of those things that you get to a point in your life and you're kind of very, I suppose, retrospective, looking back and going, okay, so what I've achieved this, and you kind of from your career point of view, I'm really happy, satisfied, everything's good. But then you're kind of looking, okay, what can I give back? And this was very much an important thing for me to do. Do you know what I mean? And get and do that. Yeah,
I really like that. And so we're in Pride Month now. What's kind of the message? Because it's always important. Like there's always something you and the employer-led community are trying to push on, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So our key message for this Pride is be you.
Nice.
Which I think is, I guess it sums up even across all the other networks. That, bringing your authentic self to work, being you at work, in a work environment, being comfortable being you in a work environment, no questions asked, whatever that is. And I'm here today to talk about the LGBT community, but obviously there's massive intersectionality within that crosses over with unity, with able. So I think those are, it's important to be your authentic self at work. So that's the message for the month. So that's going to be visible across the brand.
And what's that mean to you on a personal level, like be you?
I think just being able to be. I mean, Next is a business that on and off I have worked for 30 years. So it's a place where you need to feel comfortable. You need to feel that you can operate at your authentic self. I think, if I think back to a time before I came out and I wasn't, well, actually I was working for Next the first time round at that stage, you're kind of hiding elements of yourself. You're sort of, you don't want people to know, you're being very protective about you, being very conscious of how you put yourself across. Holding those elements back, even to your friends, even to your close friends, to your family, that has a real impact on you. And it does mean that you're not able to operate at a level which is just fully you. That,
it must be really hard as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just hiding parts of yourself. It's just thinking about the fact that you are, I suppose just not able to show your full self to somebody, not able to be yourself. So for me, that ability in work, and certainly from some of the stories that we share in the newsletter, that's the importance, is that kind of visibility that the LGBT community from this space is seen, is acknowledged. I mean, I come from a time at school with Section 28 where teachers were banned from talking about. They couldn't even acknowledge that the LGBT community even existed, let alone talk about it in sex ed or anything like that. So that's the world I grew up into, and to see where we are now is really important. But obviously, those things are still happening in the world today. It's not, it's not a green tick box. We are very lucky in this country that we have those laws and legislation to protect us. That's not the same everywhere in the world. But even with that, there are still LGBT people being beaten up for who they are on the streets of London. And you sort of think, if that's your capital city, that's where we should be our safest. That is our multicultural environment. So it's still really, really important to talk about, I think.
Yeah, massively. And I think as well, over the 5 years, we've probably done it the right way as well, haven't we? I know we've had discussions about this in the past, but I remember we don't just kind of plaster things out there because it's, we don't just go, oh, it's Pride Month.
It's the
oh,
thing
it's Pride Month, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, it's like you've just said there. It's Pride Month. This is what we want to say and what we want people to think. We want to change perceptions, enhance the community. All the things we don't. It starts internally.
Yes.
And then it goes external. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and for me as well, I think that's really important.
I think it was absolutely at the core, because if you are wanting to have a conversation to the outside world, it can't be a facade. It can't just be, oh, this is what we think, this is the right thing to say because it is the right thing to say. It has got to come from a place where, because all that will happen is people go, well, that's lovely that you're doing that. That's lovely that you're selling product for Pride. What are you doing for your LGBT individuals that are working in your company? And so for me, that was absolutely critical, that if we were messaging outward facing, that we had to get our own house in order first and make sure that we were doing that. So yes, that growth was absolutely about what do we want. I mean, one of the early things that we did was in 2019, one of the first things we did was create the transition at work policy for trans employees. Massively important, but that was driven by that community engaging with the network and talking about what they needed. And so we worked together with them internally and with Stonewall, our diversity partner, to create that policy. And that's the kind of change. So those kind of things, when you start seeing those, you're then more confidently communicating, both internally and to the outside world.
Yeah. And really what it is the magazine, this podcast episode, any content that would be put out on Life at Next, that's just really the top of the mountain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
We're just trying to, again, like you say, put it back into people's minds, because it's not just we've done all this stuff for 5 years, but it's there's still things to be done and things to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there are always, I mean, we've talked about it, that, not everybody in the business wants to jump up and down and say, yes, I'm gay and I want to tell you my story. Much to my frustration sometimes, because it's like we just want to celebrate all of the diverse individuals that we've got working for us. So just a little plug there too. If you have got a story, then email Pride at Next and we'll definitely include it. But I guess for me, the thing is that for a lot of people, just knowing that we exist is enough. I mean, some of the stories that are in there are all just about, I've never seen this in any business I've worked in, or I've never felt as kind of included as I feel, because I see that. I don't need to be a part of any events. Just to know you're there is enough. And that for some people is absolutely so important. And we've had conversations, Matt, with individuals, even within the HR team, that have joined the business as a result of seeing that content and going, that's a place for me. I can fit that. I will fit in there.
I'll belong. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So important on so many levels.
Because that as well, you know, like, and then when you go back, then when you go to another level on that, it's like, why would we not do that? Because we want the best people for the role,
yes,
regardless, you know. And I think that's, it might be a very narrow or very simplistic way of looking at it, but if you're allowed to be yourself and bring your whole self, you'll be your best self as well, right?
The point that I was trying to make earlier, absolutely. You cannot be your best self if you're hiding elements of who you are, because you're not able to exist as a person. I mean, you know, so many conversations I've had about, oh, you know, Andrew, you need to be a bit more like this, or you need to be a bit more like that, because, you know, you don't want to offend people. And ultimately, I mean, I class myself as lucky in the sense that, you know, I can appear as a white, straight, cisgendered man. So I can sort of be in an environment, and if nobody knows, nobody knows.
They wouldn't know.
And certain scenarios that I've been in, people are just like, oh, I had absolutely no idea. And that's fine. And I don't, you know, I don't need to go on with a badge like I've got today. But I don't need to do that. But there are a lot of people who cannot hide that and cannot and have to present in a way that is not in a way that I present. And that is tough, because that means you've got a whole other level of that initial, you know, first impressions and all that. Those are the things that stick. And for people with certain prejudices, that's what will stick in their minds. And that's the unfortunate thing. So I do class myself as lucky in that sense. But that's, you know, a certain privilege that I have, which is why, again, it was so important for me to get involved in this, because I do have that voice. I'm at a certain level in the company now, and you want to sort of pay that forward, really, and own that.
It is interesting. I know what you mean. You do, obviously, you focus on your career and everything, but at the same time, it's good that you're now using that time to reflect back. I think that's really admirable, because I think, you know, if people don't do that, nothing changes.
No, absolutely.
Nothing changes.
Yeah, I, that doesn't mean we all have to be picking up, you know, placards and running around. And if that's what you want to do, that's also cool, by the way. I'm not saying it isn't, but you don't have to be at that level, but it is absolutely important that it is seen for me. And that's why we keep going. That's why it's one of the most fulfilling parts of my role to do this, and everybody that's involved in that in the employee-led communities, as you know, Matt, it's not a paid job. It's not, you know, we have to do this within the job. I am lucky enough to be able to be in control of my diary for the most part, so I can choose to do those things, but I still have to get a day job done, as does everyone in the network, everyone in the community, everyone in the committee, and you know, I have so much respect for the time that they give over to make this possible, because I can sit here at the head of all this. I mean, a bit like Simon says, I'm not the one that does everything. I will absolutely, but they are there. Every single person, even the person that writes in a story and says, I have been empowered by what you've done. I remember one of the first emails that I got when we set the network up and we launched it out was from a warehouse operative in Poland.
Okay.
And obviously, in Poland, as you may or may not know, the LGBT rights are not as robust as they are in the UK by a long way. And she was very much just saying, it is fantastic. When she saw those images from our first Pride in 2019 in Leicester, which was, as you know, you were there, Matt. It was a massive event, really, really good. It was just almost heartwarming. She was just kind of like, if only we had that in this country. But that made me go, the reach of this is more than just like a head office and a few stores and a warehouse. Do you know what I mean? It's
making a real impact here. Yeah. Do you think that's one of those like almost like pivotal moments in the whole network, in the whole committee's like lifespan? that email for you, or is there anything else that sticks in your mind?
Those moments are definitely the moments. And,
the small...
Absolutely. Yeah. Just the people that are going, thank you for doing what you're doing. Those are the moments. And not everyone wants, like I say, not everyone wants to shout out and say, this is it. And some of them do it very, very quietly and just say, just thanks for being there. But that is the important thing for me. That's the bit that kind of is like, that is why it's worth doing. That's why it needs to be done, because of the value to those individuals that see that. And so, yeah, I mean, all of that has just given me more and more impetus to kind of, you know, the frustration is you want to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. I think now we've got other networks champing at our heels very successfully, and that's brilliant. And I'm really pleased to have been, you know, a part of the blueprint for that to be able to happen. But they're sort of like, they're escalating their chats and their talk, and which is all phenomenal stuff. But it keeps you on your toes, I guess.
Gives you ideas to be like, right, could we be doing this as well? And what are some of the things that are coming up? So there's Pride at Next Day.
Yes, so we've got Pride at Next Day.
So what's that, Pride at Next Day?
So it was really important within the month of June, we felt that we dedicated a day for all of our LGBT colleagues, allies across the business, wherever they are, to celebrate Pride and to be their authentic selves. Pride at Next Day happens on the last Friday of every June for us.
28th.
28th. Right.
28th. I think it is.
So Friday.
Yeah.
Yes. So, which is, come in, do your bake sales, do your raise money for Terence Higgins, wear your bright colours. We've got lots of events and activities across all the stores are planning their own things across head office sites, things like that. So, yeah, it was really important to kind of, I guess, just hang a date on it. I mean, our first one, if you remember, we had Phil Marriott DJ across.
That was good.
So, which was really cool, just on the brand site. So I think those kind of things for me just make it's the end of the month. I mean, all of the stuff that comes in and has been coming in over the month, just seeing how people are in stores, it just gives individuals that moment to be themselves, and I think that is so important.
And you know, open doors for others that have either joined or maybe not have seen something, or maybe have, you know, maybe it's something they've just been bottling up or didn't want to share but now feel more comfortable to share. So again, that's why you've got to do it again and again.
Absolutely. It's one of those things that it just needs to be on the calendar, and thankfully now that, you know, that is exactly what we've got, and we will continue to support that and do those things. So I think that's one of the big things. One of the biggest things that we've now got coming up on the 24th of August is our Pride event in Manchester. So we are now walking in Pride in Manchester.
Oh,
at
wicked.
The Pride event. That
big,
weekend.
that's a big one, isn't
Huge.
it? Yeah,
it is one of the biggest ones we've ever been to. We did Leeds and Leicester last year, and we've obviously done Leicester before. So this is a really, really big one. So again, like anyone that wants to come, we'll continue to promote it. Sign up on the website to register your interest. There's QR code links in the magazine this month to get you there. But yeah, we want to make that absolutely big, from stores, head office, distribution. We want to really bring.
So wherever you work. Or not, just all come
along, and we want to make that.
And you don't have to be part of the Pride at Next community either.
Absolutely not. If you want to bring your partners along, if you want to just register on the site, we're going to get T-shirts made up, so you'll all look brand perfect. But yeah, so we've got giveaways to give away to the crowd and stuff like that.
Wicked.
We've got a vehicle this year.
Oh god!
Yeah, well, it's not nothing that we're on. We're pulling a trailer, but Renner has made it look absolutely spanking. So yeah, so that's been that's our big event this year. And to coincide, you know, just so if individuals can't get along to those, for all of the stores across across the business. For the in the big cities where they do the Pride events, we'll be branding the BU logos on the windows of those stores during their Pride weeks, so that they'll be able to feel that their store is able to partake in their local Pride event.
So if it's August in Manchester will, September for Leicester.
Exactly right. Yeah. So the Manchester Arndale and the Manchester stores will be branded with the BU vinyls on the windows for the Pride event. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really relevant, isn't it? Because again, like you say, it's supporting the community, not where I say community, as in the local community as well. It's kind of being involved in that as well. Yeah. Yeah, and being part of that.
Yeah. I won't mention the manager concerned, but one manager who knows exactly who he is has consistently year on year said to me, I feel like the most homophobic store on the high street because everybody else goes and we don't. Yeah. So when we actually got, when we did this for the first time a couple of years ago, got some vinyls into the window, he was extremely pleased, as was the team. So, but it is important, Matt, because I do think, so many... we're not a business that wants to capitalise on pride and do those kind of things. But what we do want to do is make it absolutely relevant. So the BU collection, as it has been for the last few years with our partnership with Terence Higgins, all the proceeds of that collection will go to the Terence Higgins
And that's
Trust.
The collection, isn't it?
That's the collection that is actually sat behind you, Matt. Yeah. So. Those are designed by our amazing designer, Renna, who is part of your team. So
she is very talented.
She is a very talented individual and has done our 5th birthday edition newsletter as well, does all of the content graphics for us. But she's designed those, so they are on the website now.
Next.co.uk. Yeah.
Absolutely. Links again in the magazines, and yes, you can personalise them. So it's all part of the personalised product.
Nice.
That worked really well for us. So we did a bauble at Christmas with the Love collection that we did last year. Do you remember?
And we did it with multiple charities.
That's
didn't
right.
we?
So we had a number of. We won. We won charity bauble. Yeah. So that raised.
So competitive.
I know. Well, okay. I guess.
I am as well.
I was going to say I'm talking to the professional of competitiveness, but so that, because of that, I think because of the success of that was my point. Not that we just won, but we won Christmas bauble. But because of the success of that personalised product. So some of the examples that we've got labelled up there are for celebrating BU and celebrating Manchester Pride. But again, if it's like just an anniversary that you want to celebrate, but a nice little gift, and so that is all going to the Terence Higgins Trust.
And that's good. We're still working with them as well, isn't it? Like
phenomenal.
Really important as well. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you've obviously sat down with Richard, the CEO of the Terence Higgins Trust. Totally inspirational guy, and their aim of ending HIV transmission,
which is amazing.
I know, by 2030. So that's their goal. Met up with him last week at Chelsea Flower Show because they had a garden that they did called Bridge to 2030. So beautiful space, very, very nice. Yep. Got a Silver Gilt Award, as Richard would say, was robbed of a gold, but still, Silver Gilt is. We're very competitive.
Yeah, I get that.
Are you getting that? Yeah, get the gist. But yes, so he, so that was really nice. Met the designer of the garden. So, but to have a garden like that at Chelsea in prime location on the avenue, next to other gardens, and for people to be engaging with it, and so many people came along to that and said how moving it was, and shared their stories about friends and family that had died of HIV, and how important it was to raise that, and they didn't feel that they could talk about it, but how that it's that visibility, Matt. That is the point.
And bringing it into like the mainstream more as well, in ways that already kind of are there. Like that example is the perfect example, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's in a space where it is then being talked about, and questions are being asked, and those are the kind of things, again, taking me back to my childhood, those tombstone adverts that Richard talked to you about, they were a massive part of my, coming out process, because, when I told my mum and dad that I was gay, the first thing they then thought of was that I was just going to die of AIDS. Because
that was their initial reaction.
That was the fear, and because that was the power of that advert at the time, that was in everybody's consciousness. It was a gay disease, and if you were gay, that meant that you were likely to get it, and therefore you were going to die. And I think those kind of stigmas, which Richard, they absolutely still exist today, but it's because of things like that they're embedded in you. I physically remember watching those adverts on telly. So being the support of the Terence Higgins Trust has been massive for us. So we've got those products that we're selling right the way through. So the QR code links, I mentioned the graphicing that was going onto the stores, that QR code link will take you to those, to the product as well to buy. And then also for the month of June, we've got a Pride bouquet of flowers. So you can go and celebrate and give your loved one a Pride bouquet, and that money is also going to the Terence Higgins Trust. Nice. So it really, one of our great partnerships, but that we're utilising the business that we have, which is selling product, and helping people in the outside. We've raised over £35,000 since we've started that relationship with all of the product and everything that we've sold.
Brilliant.
So really, really important for them as a charity, and towards their aim. But such a good feeling, Matt. So again, you say, why do I do this? It's like for those.
But
for
it's
those moments.
another. I think again, it's another level to the networks or the committees. Because I know, for example, Unity, they partner with Anthony Noland.
Absolutely, yeah.
We've got. I won't spoil what it is, but Able are looking at something as well. So you've got all these. It's actually making an impact as well. Like you say, we could easily just make those and sell those and keep the profit.
Take the money.
Yeah. And people would buy them, but we're not saying that. So we're looking at it as, right, well, what could we do? What could we do for it? It's not a cash grab. No. It's not. It's a lot more than that. It is
absolutely important, and right from the heart of it, it's got to be authentic. It can't just be putting out colourful, waving the pride flag, putting the pride flag up at head office and going, that's it, job done. We've done Pride Month. We've got to have it, and there are, as I said to you, there are a lot of people behind this who absolutely are believing in this and want to do this. So again, massive gratitude to them for all their input as well for the last 5 years, and hopefully we'll keep going onwards and upwards.
For another 5, hopefully.
Well, a few more than that, but yes.
More than 5.
Maybe 5 for the first instance.
Yeah. But I think that's a great place to end anyway, Andrew. I really appreciate you coming on. Like I say, I'm always like an admirer of everyone that puts the time and effort into this, in their own time as well, because I can imagine there's probably some hours at home doing this as well. So, but no, it's really important. And like if anyone wants, I'll just reiterate what you said. If anyone wants to be part of the community or anything like that, then get in touch with Pride and Next.
We are absolutely looking for anyone to be involved, Matt. It's just, for us, that it's every individual that works for the business. That's the important story. If someone's got a story to tell, if someone just wants to talk to us, someone just wants to connect with us, that is absolutely what we're there for.
Cool. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Thank you.